So basically, this is not actually alternate future of the world. This is something different. And future scenario that actually diverges in 2022 with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Russians declare war on Ukraine, as Wikipedia Commons is mainly using is not showing the actual map of the occupation area. As Russian troops are already here. Russian troops already control these areas, and they immediately launch an invasion through Belarus. In this timeline, they actually don't do that dumb of a military strategy, and the Ukrainian and this 3-day special operation actually takes 3 days. Not really 3 days, but it's more like 3 weeks, maybe 3 months. But it's simple. Russian troops destroy Ukraine. Indian troops, that's basically the divergence number 1 is going to expand to alternate future. That's why it's not gonna be called alternate future of the world, because I don't believe this will happen, because Russia already started the invasion of Ukraine. I think this is more of a wake-up call and maybe some dynastic flavoring to make like tension increase or maybe something. Primarily, this is a post-apocalyptic scenario that could most likely explain the serious problems of the modern world. The Russians decide to split Ukraine into this area and this area. Ukraine is split into into a bunch of pieces. Divided between authorities, and of course the areas that actually goes to Russia is Crimea. By the way, Ukraine has a lot of Russian people living in it, but those Russian people don't like Putin's Russia, so those Russians are making their children less Russian. So Ukraine is become. These are videos we have. So we have the CSTO, as you can see. It's the closest thing we have to an alien, to this alliance. This alliance of the CSTO. But this escalation would be but the annexation of Ruthenia, specifically to Hungary, would be bad news because of Viktor Orban and his really weird pro-Russia policies. I mean, I get conservatism, but pro-Russia policies, that's weird. This is basically the Russian sphere of influence. Around the mid to late 2023, the Israeli-Palestinian war happens officially. I think officially and and by most people, Israel did start the war. Okay, maybe Hamas provoked them, but Israel did start the war. But there's gonna also be a massive difference in 2023. With the number one thing that Israel actually moves more into the West Bank than to sieging down Gaza. This will actually be very bad practically for morale-wise for the Israeli government, as as the war would realistically escalate more if they're attacking the Palestinian Authority more than Hamas. So I think this would most likely be a war, realistically, not an provoking and then slow escalation that it in reality is. This actually would cause multiple powers such as Assad, Syria, the Egyptian Republic, probably to legitimize its rule, Saudi Arabia, and so these Arabic nation states join into a coalition. and a couple of Assyrian guerrilla and Syrian militias rise up here supporting the Israelis. And the bad news happened. The ISIS detention camp over here in Syria breaks out with brutal, but this time even more extreme leadership, as female jihadists are actually known to be the worst jihadists as historically. So these guys basically break out of the prison. They don't really start. They start recruiting. They're crushing Syriac revolts. Many Syriacs lead to the Syrian revolt, and the Kurds ally each other to form a backbone against ISIS. But ISIS quickly gets defeated as this large force of rage quickly falls when the reality war comes true, and these guys quickly join. Lebanon quickly joins, but Israeli troops are already planning that, so they launch an invasion of Lebanon. Gaza finally gets captured in 2024-ish. The US doesn't intervene due to oil. But the serious ties to Israel are formed. Saudi Arabia, which is literally at war, decides to literally do the opposite thing, and they seeing that their economy is actually weakening due to this. They're not really getting any legitimacy from it. The media is painting them as bad guys because of course they're doing it. The Israelis are not fighting another 6-day war, even though it might seem like they're fighting another 6-day war. They're actually fighting just a normal war. I think you people can hear me. I think I'm playing loud. I hope that's actually true. But eventually Israeli troops are moving massively due to the but with morale getting low, especially due to a large chunk of the Israeli military decides to try to betray Netanyahu. Their Netanyahu was more like genocide. These guys were just nationalists. They literally just planned to get Palestine and they didn't deport any US. They didn't plan like Mega Israel or something like Netanyahu does. Like Big Yahoo, of course. Big Yahoo, rest in peace, my granny, she got it. But also Islamic rebellists also forming a coalition against Netanyahu's regime. Eventually the war dies down with a peace and treaty nation being formed, known as the Levantine Confederation, basically copying Lebanon's self-governance due to the Lebanese diversity thing, but the fact is, it's kind of led by Israelis, even though it's supposed to be led by Lebanese people. It's actually led by Israelis because of the sheer amount of Israelis there. They should have done this way earlier. This area is given up to Syria. Same with the areas near the Suez. But the areas near the Suez are also given to Egypt. And the Egyptian government would get severely humiliated. They're basically repeating Egyptian history, showing that nature is more important than nurture. As even though they're an Islamic nation state, they're still in Egypt. So nature is better than nurture, at least in state building. Iran isn't really happy with this, but the rest of the Islamic nations are. So Iran just goes with it to not make itself more of a geopolitical pariah. I also do, if people can hear me, I actually don't talk like that. I actually talk pretty loud. I think it's probably due to that. Meanwhile, in Egypt, a populist revolt starts in Cairo with the new government, with the new capital with the new capital's formation not being really underway. This new democratic regime is now installed. But this war actually gave some kind of weird thing here, where meanwhile, due to the weakening of Mossad's military, Mossad Assad. Why do I confuse between those? One is Big Yahoo's force, and the other is the genealogical line of the Syrian royal government. And eventually they do things as historically, but the Syriacs actually have more things because of their actually fighting things. Syriac language map. Okay, let's see how. So you have Armenian, Northern Syria, Armenian, Iraqi Arabic, Turkomani, Syrian Turyoyo. Seriously? Um, let's see, they look. So Syrian New Aramaic populations have basically started expansion and have founded their own small city-state here. Kurdistan also expands a bit. Of course, it's a bit. And the new Syrian government actually joins the Levantine Confederation. Actually, doesn't join. I'm sorry, no, it doesn't join the Levantine Confederation. It actually declares independence. The Turks actually realizing this joined Jordan, becoming the Emirate of Damascus being formed. The Turks also see this as a great opportunity to get more legitimacy. They invite the northern Syria to these guys, and the new Egyptian democratic government established. After that, they extend this would cause for the triplet, a tripolar Middle East would form with the fall of Assad's government, Iran. Hagi, and there's and of course there's a Saudi Arabian sphere, which is the most powerful. But there are some neutral states like Iraq and Kuwait in the civil war, and of course the new Syriac Republic, which is basically just a small city-state. Syriac. Look, I don't think there are actually any cities here. Hervetini, Pomoyo. Neo Chaldean. Homsheti. Yeah, I think you can easily see what's happening here. So this is basically what happens in this region of the world. It's basically the United States is not doing really well. I mean, by this point it's the year 2028. The new elections show Donald Trump losing. No, Donald Trump is already dead in this timeline. Now J.D. Vance was leading, but J.D. Vance loses before he could gain absolute power. And by he, I mean, of course, Grandmaster Peter Thiel of the Evil Order. Which, speaking of that, there's this weird element I like to add. We of course have the bad guys. These are the blacks. This is the Black Order. I'm going to start with bad people. Headquarters are of course here. Okay. I made it to them. Let's increase. Now I think we'll kind of understand what am I doing here. Okay, like I think so basically now, and tensions are rising up in China. And breaking news: Russia seeing its expansions pretty good. Decides to declare war on Georgia. They already control these territories. and quickly captures the main Georgia area. I'm sorry, as a Georgian, this is very bad for me, but not very bad for Russians, I guess. With that, let's end the video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. God help bless you.